Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. Bangladesh accepts targeted attacks on minorities. 88 cases filed, 70 held accused till October. Rebel-backed Syrian interim Prime Minister Mohammed al-Bashir urges stability and calm in the country. Probing martial law, South Korean police raid President Yoon Suk's office. Second impeachment vote set for Saturday in South Korea. Taiwan calls on China to stop all provocative actions after Beijing expanded military drills around the island. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with young innovators at the grand finale of Smart India Hackathon 2024. Up first, updates from Bangladesh, where a total of 88 cases have been filed in incidents related to the minorities this year, while 70 people were arrested in this connection. In a regular press briefing, Chief Advisor's Press Secretary Shafiqul Alam mentioned about the recent attacks on minorities. He said that the tally of arrests may increase as new cases of violence erupted. He also reaffirmed that those guilty will be brought under law. He added that there might be cases where some victims were members of the previous ruling party. There have been a spate of incidents of violence against minorities, as well as attacks on temples in Bangladesh in the last few weeks that triggered strong concerns in New Delhi. DD India's Naval Singh Parmar joins us from Dhaka now on the story. Naval Singh, so 88 cases in incidents related to minorities from August 5th to October 22nd. What has prompted the UNIS-led government to take action now?
One foremost thing is that the issue regarding the violence and the safety and security of minority have been taken by New Delhi very seriously. In last 15 days, our spokesperson as well as the 3 days back, our chief secretary also came here, and he also took up the issue with the highest authority in Bangladesh, like Chief Advisor Mohammed Yunus. So these are of course, international pressure also have had its effect on the interim government of Bangladesh. So government published the data regarding the incidents of violence against the minority, and it is 88 cases, and that is particularly from 5th August to 22nd October. So it is up to that window. After 22nd October, there are many issues happened, and particularly in the last week of November, when Chinmay Krishnadas was arrested, and then subsequently there were some rallies during that time, and in Sunamganj, Narsingdi, Chattogram, and Dhaka, there were some incidents happened. And as Mr. Shafiqul Alam said, that the numbers may increase, number of cases as well as number of arrests will increase in the coming days.
Okay. Thank you very much, Naval Singh Parmar joining us from Dhaka. In South Korea, the police have raided the presidential office of the East Asian nation today as the investigation into President Yoon Suk Yeol's declaration of martial law gathers pace. The special investigation team raided several key locations, including the presidential office, the National Police Agency, the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency, and the National Assembly Security Service. President Yoon is facing insurrection charges for declaring martial law, but he has not been arrested or questioned so far. He is already under a travel ban. In another development, former Defence Minister Kim Yong-hoon attempted to kill himself before being formally arrested for his role in the martial law operation. Kim resigned last Thursday and was arrested on Tuesday on charges including engaging in critical duties during an insurrection and abuse of authority to obstruct the exercise of rights. South Korea's National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-shik has invoked the parliamentary right to launch an investigation into the martial law situation. South Korean Prime Minister Han Dak-soo said that he blames himself for failing to stop the emergency martial law, which was declared by President Yoon Suk-yeol last week. Meanwhile, thousands of protesters rallied outside Parliament in Seoul demanding the impeachment and arrest of South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol and disbandment of his party following last week's martial law attempt. North Korea has reported for the first time on South Korea's ongoing political turmoil, saying that Yoon Suk-yeol's insane act was a serious crisis of governance and impeachment, declaring martial law unexpectedly and unleashing the guns of the fascist dictatorship on the people. As Beijing holds its biggest maritime mobilization in years, Taiwan said that it had detected 53 Chinese military aircraft and 19 ships near the island in the past 24 hours. The aircraft and vessels, which included 11 warships, were detected in Taiwan's airspace and waters in the 24 hours. That was the highest number of aircraft detected in a single day since a record 153 was reported on October 15th after China staged large-scale military drills in response to Lai's speech days earlier. There has been intense speculation about the possibility of China launching military exercises in response to Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te's visits to the United States last week. Reacting to China's increased military drills and naval deployment around the country, Taiwan's presidential office called on China to stop all provocative actions disrupting regional peace and stability.
China's behavior is a blatant disruption of the status quo of the security and stability in the Indo-Pacific region, creating uneasiness and uncertainties among the international society. It is customary for the Taiwan president to make overseas trips. Taiwan's normal exchanges should not be an excuse for Chinese provocations. Our military is closely monitoring the situation and will be able to react accordingly to ensure peace.
Speaking on the ongoing military activities around Taiwan, China's Taiwan Affairs Office spokesperson Zhu Fenglian said that Taiwan's separatist activities seeking independence will not be left unchecked. China is firm on its sovereignty over Taiwan, claiming that the island is its own territory, which is strongly opposed by the Taiwanese separatist forces. So far, China has not commented about its heightened military activities and naval deployment around the island nation.
We are highly vigilant against the actions of the separatist forces for Taiwan independence and their collusion with external forces in seeking independence and provocations, and we will never let it go unchecked. We take the necessary measures to resolutely defend country's sovereignty and territorial integrity, safeguard peace and stability of the Taiwan Strait, and safeguard the fundamental interest of both sides of the Taiwan Strait.
Staying in Asia, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin visited Japan's Ground Self-Defense Force base in Tokyo, Camp Asaka, on Wednesday. The visit follows his meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba a day earlier over regional issues. The meeting holds significance as it comes amid rising Chinese military activities in the East China Sea, creating issues for Japan and South Korea. Austin arrived in Japan on December 8th after a cancelled trip to South Korea. Now on to Syria. After the collapse of the al-Assad's government, the country embraces its new caretaker Prime Minister Mohammed al-Bashir of the interim government. He was appointed after meeting members of the previous government. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister warned Syria of heavy price if Iran's influence is allowed. Details in our next report.
48 hours after the Assad government fell, the new interim leader took charge as caretaker Prime Minister of Syria with the backing of the former rebels. The appointment comes after al-Bashir met with members of al-Assad's government in a meeting held under the headline of transferring the files and institutions to caretaker government. Mohammed al-Bashir announced that he would lead the interim authority until 1st March next year.
اليوم Today, we held a cabinet meeting that included a team from the Salvation Government that was working in Idlib and its vicinity and the government of the ousted regime. The meeting was under the headline of transferring the files and institutions from the government of the ousted regime to the transitional government in order to receive these files and conduct business. This means that there will be a Syrian government that will handle these files and manage the business during a transitional period, God willing, that may end on March 1st. The General Command has tasked us with running the transitional government until March 1st, 2025.
Syrian rebels on Tuesday took complete control of the eastern city of Deir ez-Zor. A Syrian Observatory for Human Rights War Monitor confirmed that the Kurdish forces had withdrawn. Meanwhile, Israeli army conducted several strikes across Syria aimed at destroying strategic weapons and military infrastructure to prevent them being used by rebel groups. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also issued a stern warning to Syria's new regime.
We want to have relations with the new regime in Syria. But if this regime allows Iran to re-establish itself in Syria, or allows the transfer of Iranian weapons or weapons of any kind to Hezbollah or attack us, we will respond forcefully and we will exact a heavy price. What happened to the previous regime will also happen to this one.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke about the situation in Syria with counterparts from Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar and Egypt.
Secretary Blinken has been on the phone today with a number of his counterparts in the Middle East about the situation in Syria. He has so far today spoken with Jordanian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates Aman Safadi, Emirati Foreign Minister Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Qatari Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, and Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelhadi.
India, meanwhile, evacuated 75 nationals from Syria. All Indian nationals have safely crossed over to Lebanon and will return by available commercial flights to India. Given the fact that different parts of Syria continued to be controlled by various military groups, the first daunting task is to maintain peace and make all the leaders come to the negotiating table. Ayushi Bhatnagar's report for DD India.
The Biden administration is talking with Turkey and other countries to get more information on the whereabouts of Austin Tice, an American journalist kidnapped in Syria more than a decade ago. Tice, a former US Marine and a freelance journalist, was 31 when he was abducted in August 2012 while reporting in Damascus on the uprising against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad.
Finding Austin Tice is a top priority of this administration. The FBI and State Department have offered up to $11 million in reward to anyone who can provide information. We do not know where he is located. We do not know. But we continue to hope that he is alive.
U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor John Feiner said that the Biden administration sees increased energy towards a Gaza ceasefire deal after hostilities were tamped down between Israel and Lebanon. U.S. officials will be deployed to the region in the weeks ahead of the talks. Meanwhile, the UN General Assembly will today vote on a draft resolution that seeks an immediate ceasefire and unconditional release of all hostages in Gaza, a symbolic gesture after the US previously vetoed a similar action in the UN Security Council. The resolution, which is non-binding, also demands immediate access to widespread humanitarian aid for the citizens of Gaza. Israel, meanwhile, has denounced the draft resolution ahead of the vote. A second draft resolution up for a vote on Wednesday will call on Israel to respect the mandate of the UNRWA and allow it to continue its safe and unhindered humanitarian assistance operations after Israel voted to ban it. The ban, which is due to take effect on January 28th, sparked global condemnation, including from key Israeli backer, the United States. Meanwhile, the corruption trial against Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will resume today. Netanyahu testified for the first time on Tuesday in his long-running corruption trial, rejecting what he described as absurd allegations against him. Appearing at a crowded courtroom in Tel Aviv on Tuesday, the embattled Israeli leader said that the charges leveled against him were an ocean of absurdity. Israel's longest-serving prime minister faces charges of bribery, fraud and breach of public trust in 3 separate cases. He has consistently denied any wrongdoing. He further accused the media of being biased towards him. Still to come on DD India News Hour. US condemns reports of gangland massacre of 200 in Haiti, calls for worldwide condemnation. A Sudanese military airstrike in North Darfur market kills more than 100. Hundreds also injured. And India under the grip of cold wave, snowfall triggers sharp drop in temperatures.
Nature could easily survive without us. We, however, couldn't really survive without it. But with these environmental problems, how do we make sure to secure our future? Let's find out.
So you just have to bring the sand from one place where it's not needed to the other place where it's needed. So that's called sand bypassing, sand nourishment. So that's the heart of the project.
Remediating the wetland will mean that the life of the wetland comes back to it. And if that happens, there will be money in every household inside that depends on the river.
It doesn't matter whether a farmer is educated, uneducated, skilled or not. This is a user-friendly app. A single touch is all it takes to operate and control the system. Anyone can use the app.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we will talk about the Syrian war. We'll get into the geopolitics of Middle East that is pivoted around Syria. Who lost and who won, and what this means for the people of West Asia. Beyond this, the new Cold War has just begun. It is the semiconductor war between the United States and China. It is the war of controlling the technology in the realms of artificial intelligence. It is being said that artificial intelligence could prove to be even more lethal than the nuclear bomb. So what does this mean for our future? Watch all this on Defense Dynamics every Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Demonstrators are facing crackdown by Georgian authorities on Wednesday as their protests enter into the 13th day. More than 400 people have been arrested in the past 24 hours for violence, which they claim was a response to police attacks. People are protesting against the government's decision to shelve EU accession talks. On the other hand, the EU authorities have warned Georgia to stop crackdown or face punishment in the form of sanctions. Shifting focus to Ukraine, where a drone hit and severely damaged an official vehicle of the International Atomic Energy Agency on the road to the Russian-held Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant on Tuesday. IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi has condemned the attack, calling it an unacceptable attack on the agency staff working to prevent a nuclear accident during the military conflict. He added that there were no casualties and the teams were safe.
As Director General of the IAEA, I condemn in the most firm terms this attack on the IAEA staff. We call once again, as we have done it before, for the utmost restraint. I have said in the past that attacking a nuclear power plant is a no-go. Attacking those who care for the nuclear safety and security of these plants is even more unacceptable.
Russia has accused Ukraine of attacking a car used to carry UN nuclear experts, while Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the strike was a deliberate Russian attack that showed Moscow had total disregard for international law, global institutions and safety, calling for a clear, decisive response from the IAEA and other international bodies. Meanwhile, Russian missile killed at least 4 people in the southeastern city of Zaporozhye. Russia regularly carries out airstrikes on Zaporozhye and the surrounding region. On Friday, an attack on the city killed 10 people and wounded more than 20, reacting to which Ukraine's Zelensky urged the country's allies to provide 10 to 12 more Patriot air defense systems that he said would fully protect the skies. He further urged allies to use frozen Russian funds to pay for more Patriots as Ukraine braces for another winter of Russian attacks on its devastated power system. The United States is horrified and strongly condemned reports of a massacre of about 200 people in Haiti by its gang members. White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre said in a press briefing that U.S. strongly condemns this vicious and criminal act and would call upon all the international community to immediately stand with the people of Haiti.
We are horrified by the reporting that nearly 200 people in Haiti were needlessly massacred, as you just stated, by self-serving criminal gang members. And so we strongly condemn this vicious and criminal act. And we call upon all of the international community to immediately stand with the people of Haiti and provide assistance to the Kenyan-led multinational security support mission.
Haiti's Prime Minister's office said that mostly elderly people were killed over the weekend in Haiti's Site Soleil area after attacks that an NGO said were ordered by a gang leader who suspected that his child had been made ill using witchcraft. On to Sudan now. A military airstrike on a market in North Darfur has killed over 100 people in one of the deadliest days of fighting in the devastating war that has extended for almost 20 months with no end in sight. The conflict between the Sudanese armed forces and RSF has escalated in recent days, with both sides intensifying their offensives. Both sides deny carrying out war crimes during their power struggle that has caused the world's biggest humanitarian crisis and forced more than 11 million people from their homes. And next, you take a look at other stories making news around the world. Brazil's Senate plenary session approved a bill to regulate the use and development of artificial intelligence in the country. Now, the bill will go to the Chamber of Deputies, which is the lower house of Brazil, for further approval. Hundreds of people arrived in Mexico to celebrate the feast day of Lady of Guadalupe, the country's patron saint. Mexico's Catholic Church, meanwhile, has urged various criminal groups to call a truce in the violence during the fest that causes several deaths and disappearances every year. Hollywood actress Regina King has been honored with the Trailblazer Award at the 7th Annual Critics' Choice Association celebration of Black cinema and television in Los Angeles. Whereas Cynthia Erivo won the Actress Award, the event highlights the standout performances of Black community in the entertainment industry. Thousands have been ordered to evacuate near the city of Malibu in the U.S. state of California after a fast-moving wildfire broke out and burned hundreds of acres, including several homes. It is not yet clear what caused the fire, but the region has been under a red flag warning.
California continues to face the imminent dangers of massive wildfires. After battling massive wildfires in recent past, the western coast state is again witnessing another record-surging fire. A fierce wildfire spread across California's Malibu on Tuesday, forcing extensive evacuations and threatening homes as firefighters struggle to contain the blaze. The wildfires known as the Franklin Fire had swelled to more than 2,600 acres and was still raging out of control. The National Weather Service has posted a high danger red flag warning because of powerful winds that are fanning the already dangerous fire. Around 2,000 buildings in the eastern half of Malibu were issued a compulsory evacuation order. Authorities went door to door overnight to alert thousands of residents and closed roads as the fire grew.
LA County fire units were responded to a report of a brush fire at Malibu Canyon Road and the tunnel. Units reported 5 acres of heavy brush burning and being spread by strong Santa Ana winds. The fire is currently estimated at over 2,200 acres, and we have 700 firefighting personnel assigned.
People living in another part of the city were also advised to leave. Tens of thousands across Southern California had their electricity cut off.
This is a notorious area. The wind's coming straight down Malibu Canyon like a blowtorch. And so they're in harm's way every time there's a fire over there. It's a beautiful area, but you know, with all the trees and the landscaping, it's dangerous.
California is prone to wildfires. However, scientists say that climate change is making weather conditions that led to wildfires, such as heat and drought, more likely.
And on to India now, where cold wave continues to grip around the northern region, with snowfall in the hilly regions of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. The snowfall has triggered a sharp drop in temperatures. The capital city, Delhi, recorded a steeping dip with 8 degrees Celsius in night temperature. The India Meteorological Department suggested that Delhi's temperature will fall, expecting dense fog across the national capital region. Temperatures across all districts of Kashmir have dropped below freezing, with Gulmarg recording the lowest at minus 9 degrees Celsius, while Himachal Pradesh and Punjab are also experiencing a severe cold wave. Towards the south, the IMD has issued an orange and yellow alert for various districts as a growing low-pressure weather system is to reach Tamil Nadu coast on Wednesday, triggering rainfall alerts across Delta districts. Responding to the severe weather conditions, the Mayiladurai district collector has announced a holiday for schools and colleges today. So let's go over to our correspondent Amberson now. The IMD has issued a yellow alert, Amberson, for several parts of Tamil Nadu, and heavy rainfall is expected in parts of the state. What more can you tell us?
Last December 7th, the IMD has said that there is a low pressure zone will form in the Bay of Bengal just after the cyclone Faisal, and now it's a little bit intensified into a low pressure zone, and now it's reaching towards the coastal and also the Delta districts of Tamil Nadu. Due to that, the IMD has announced orange alert to particularly the Kadalur, Mayiladurai, Nagapattinam and Tiruvarur district, and these districts also affected by the cyclone Faisal. So the district administration is more cautious on regarding the mitigation of any flood-like situation. And also the school leaves holiday is announced in Mayiladurai district. And this low pressure zone may be more intensified, and due to that, the next 7 days may be more heavy rains spelling across the northern and also the Delta districts of Tamil Nadu, due to the KTCC region where the Kanchipuram, Tiruvallur, Chennai and the Chennai city also getting heavy rain from the morning onwards. And the IMD has said that it will may intensified, and the Chennai city may get more rain on evening and also tomorrow. So that is the latest update. So Cyclone Faisal given a heavy rainfall across the various regions of Tamil Nadu, and next after a few weeks, this low pressure zone is formed, and it's also giving a adjoining area of Sri Lanka and also various parts of the southern belt of Tamil Nadu. Due to that, the state and also the central and also the district administration in full swing. Because if more rain is on those districts which is already affected, it may cause more rain. Flood-like situation. So,
yeah, we thank you for those updates. Amberson joining us from Chennai. You're watching DD India News. Are still to come on this show. Bangladesh acknowledges incidents of attacks on minorities. We discuss its significance with our expert. Also coming up next, all the latest updates from Indian Parliament's winter session. Also, Indian government leverages technology for broadcasting. FM radio services to be expanded to 234 new cities.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we will talk about the Syrian war. We'll get into the geopolitics of Middle East that is pivoted around Syria. Who lost and who won, and what this means for the people of West Asia. Beyond this, the new Cold War has just begun. It is the semiconductor war between the United States and China. It is the war of controlling the technology in the realms of artificial intelligence. It is being said that artificial intelligence could prove to be even more lethal than the nuclear bomb. So what does this mean for our future? Watch all this on Defense Dynamics every Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. A reminder of the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Bangladesh accepts targeted attacks on minorities. 88 cases filed. 70 accused held till October. Rebel-backed Syrian interim Prime Minister Mohammad al-Bashir urges stability and calm in the country. Probing martial law, South Korean police raid President Yoon Suk's office. Second impeachment vote set for Saturday in South Korea. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with young innovators at the grand finale of Smart India Hackathon 2024. And up next, we bring you updates from both the houses of Indian Parliament. Well, they were adjourned with minimal business conducted amidst chaotic scenes. Chaos erupted in the Rajya Sabha as the government and opposition locked horns over a no-trust motion against Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. The uproar began as soon as the House convened, with Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju launching a scathing attack on the opposition. He praised the Vice President, calling him a farmer's son who has upheld the dignity of the House. The uproar forced an adjournment of the House until noon. When the House resumed, Union Minister J.P. Nadda continued the attack, urging condemnation of the opposition's motion. The proceedings descended into further chaos, with the opposition and Treasury benches trading accusations over the no-trust motion and the Soros issue. Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar adjourned the House for the day. During question hour in the Lok Sabha, IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said that the government is open to bringing new law to regulate AI, but a lot of consensus on it is required. He said the Modi government believes in democratizing technology, which was not the case during the Congress rule. Vaishnav, who is also the Railways Minister, replying to another question, informed the House that India has undertaken the world's largest railway redevelopment project.
Honorable Prime Minister has really focused on transformation of Indian Railways, and part of that, one of the major programs that we have taken up is redevelopment of 1,300 railway stations. And at this point of time, Honorable Speaker, sir, this is the world's largest railway station redevelopment program, and nowhere in the world has anybody taken up the redevelopment of such a large number of stations in a network which is continuously operating.
After the question hour, the House took up Zero Hour, in which Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi raised the law and order situation in Manipur. Responding to it, Union Minister Piyush Goyal accused the Congress of being responsible for the internal disturbances in the country. Minister Goyal raised the issue of alleged links of Congress leaders with the US-based George Soros Foundation, questioning their intention. The presiding officer tried to bring the House in order, but in vain. Later, the House was adjourned till 2 p.m. Okay, DD India's Anil Thomas joins us for more on the parliamentary proceedings. Anil, what has happened in the Lok Sabha that proceedings were conducted smoothly in the question hour?
Well, that's exactly been the big positive if one takes a look at how the parliament proceedings have been on day 13 in parliament. The Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have been totally opposites, or two sides of a coin if one say how business has been transacted. In Lok Sabha, the speaker had called both the the leader of the opposition as well as, and tried to sort things out. And just before the post-lunch, pre-lunch session, Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition, did come out and say that he met the speaker, and with regards to certain portions of what Lok Sabha MP Nishikant Dubey made need to be expunged, and the speaker had promised and things would be done. I think the opposition was in a clear mood to let business transact, and that's exactly what's not happened in the Rajya Sabha, and that's where you see the two sides operating just like two sides of the coin. In the Lok Sabha, you have the Railway Amendment Bill that was introduced on December 4th. Over 4 days of deliberations, the bill has been, there's no transaction of business that's happened since Monday. But I think, great headway being made, especially in Lok Sabha. And I think Lok Sabha can set the tempo and maybe show directions for the Rajya Sabha on how to function, maybe tomorrow.
And if you could tell us a bit more about why there is no headway in the upper house of parliament as far as proceedings are concerned.
Well, between the treasury benches and the opposition benches, it's almost been a logjam. There is no headway that can be made for the simple reason, whatever has been tried, after the no confidence motion was moved against the chairman, that's the chairman of Rajya Sabha, Jagdeep Dhankar, things have gone from bad to worse. We expected, at least the opposition was expecting, or outside parliament, they did say that maybe they didn't expect the chairman to be on the chair after a no confidence motion was moved, but since they saw the chairman on the chair there, it almost, the ruckus was almost expected and anticipated, because that's what the parliamentarians did indicate outside parliament, that if they could keep the chairman away since a no confidence motion is in place, they would be open to the idea of letting parliament function. Since that also didn't take place, and though when it reconvened at 12 noon, Rajya Sabha did have the deputy chairman on the chair, but things don't seem to be making any kind of headway. It's argument versus counter argument. You see the George Soros, the US hedge fund tycoon, being time and again being brought into the deliberations, the Adani issue being raised by the oppositions. So not much of headway expected. I think the chairman has tried time and again to get both the opposition as well as the treasury benches to come and discuss in his chamber, but not much of hope that you see.
Yeah,
we've got a discussion, especially on the constitution coming up on Friday and Saturday. We'll have to wait and watch if some kind of headway or some kind of peace is brokered, so that we could see that discussion taking place smoothly.
Okay.
And that discussion is very important not only for the parliament but also for people watching the parliament proceedings.
Yeah, thank you very much. Anil Thomas reporting from Indian Parliament. All right, going back to our top story now. While Bangladesh has accepted targeted attacks on minorities, where now 88 cases have been filed and 70 accused have been held till October. And to discuss this with us, we have Veena Sikri, former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, joining us on the show. Namaskar, ma'am. Well, do you see the Chief Advisor Press Secretary's claim that those found guilty of violence against the minorities will be brought under the law fill you with any degree of confidence here as regards violence against the minorities?
Well, I think this can certainly be seen as a very strong outcome of the visit by our Foreign Secretary, Vikram Misri, because on Monday, Vikram Misri was in Dhaka and he had talks with his counterpart. He called on the Foreign Affairs Advisor, Bangladesh, and he called on Professor Muhammad Yunus as well. And at each stage, he explained quite clearly, with absolutely irrefutable evidence, India's concern and about the attacks on minorities, the Hindus, the Buddhists, and the Christians, and about the large number of people who have been killed, who have been abducted, who have lost their properties, who have lost their homes, who business establishments have been burnt. And, all this time, the Bangladesh media, such as it is, it's very gagged, it's completely, under the control of the press advisor to the chief advisor. The Bangladesh media had always been attacking the Indian media, saying the Indian media is doing propaganda about attacks on minorities. And why is the Indian media doing propaganda? I remember last Friday, a very leading editor of an English language paper in Dhaka said this and wrote a long editorial, on why is Indian media doing this propaganda. I've spoken to my friends in the Indian media. I've pleaded with them and I've told them nothing is happening. It is completely okay. And still they're doing propaganda. Now, after all this build-up, and then our foreign secretary is there and speaks unequivocally about it, and suddenly 2 days later, yesterday they announced it, so actually 1 day after our foreign secretary left, suddenly they're saying that we have 88 cases and we have, taken action. Now, of course, one has to see the proof of that. What do you mean by taking action? Have cases been filed? Has somebody been arrested? Has somebody been named? There's no information about any of that. And on the other hand, I must tell you that the leading Bangladesh paper, the Bengali language paper, Pratham had done a study of the attacks on all the minorities between 5th August and 20th August, a period of 2 weeks. And on the 12th of September, they published information in their paper, including interviews with the Archbishop of the Roman Catholic Church and interviews with other leading minority figures. And they said that in our estimation, between 5th August and 20th August, at least 1,068 attacks have been made. And they gave details because they had gone to each home which was destroyed. They went to each business establishment. They spoke to the people who were hurt and who lost their lives, who were abducted. So they spoke about 1,068. At the same time, the Bangladesh Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, OIQ Jod, the Unity Council of all the religions, they had also done a study for the month of August, and they came up with more than 2,000. And of course, Pratham said at least 1,060. So we can see that the extent of the attacks just for the month of August, of which statements have been given in the media, were far, far more, 10 times more than 10 times more than what the press advisor to the chief advisor has announced. So I think that while the interim regime in Bangladesh has now suddenly woken up and said, we've registered these cases, but this is really far from describing the extent of the attacks. And we also, there's all the case against the Chinmoy Prabhudas, who was formerly with ISKCON, the case against all the people who were participating in the rallies, peaceful rallies. All these cases have been launched. All the Indian lawyers who were attacked to prevent anybody from appearing for Chinmoy Prabhudas, Chinmoy Krishndas, his lawyers were attacked and they're in hospital. And statements were made that no lawyer will defend Chinmoy Prabhudas. Now, why should such an arrogant statement against a minority community person who has done nothing except participated in peaceful rallies and who has, held rallies in Rangpur, in Dhaka, and in Chittagong, peaceful rallies. So there is absolutely no explanation for it. I can say that perhaps they are trying to make a start, but, even the prominent journalist Munni Shah, who was attacked on November 30th and almost lynched, except that she was rescued by the police at that time. So, I think that these kind of attacks have been shocking. I know Munni Shah, she's a very fearless and bold journalist from the Hindu minority community who has for long fought in favor of women's empowerment. So, all these people, have been hundreds of journalists of Bangladesh are in jail, including the minority community. They have been charged with murder. Hundreds of others have lost their accreditation cards. And, they have lost their jobs. They've been removed forcibly without an explanation. So what I'm trying to say is that the situation in Bangladesh remains very serious.
Yes.
There is no freedom. There is no freedom for the minorities. There's no freedom of statements. There's no freedom of, even the religious worship, because the places of worship have been desecrated. The places of worship have been vandalized, and actually the great change we have seen this time from the minority community themselves, that whereas in previous occasions when, you can see that there have been previous occasions. I remember in 2001 when Begum Khaleda Zia was elected, the BNP Prime Minister was elected in 2001. Her people did a huge campaign against the minorities, saying, you voted for Awami League, so we are, beating you up. But that stopped after a while. In fact, we Indian government had also taken it up. And then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee had sent his National Security Advisor Brajesh Mishra to talk to Begum Khaleda Zia. So we had taken it up in 2021 during Durga Puja. There were attacks on so many pandals and all that. And again, we took it up. It all came to an end very quickly. But this time we have seen the most sustained and violent attack on the Hindus, the Buddhists and the Christians going on for more than 3 months. It's the longest ever since 1971.
So, ma'am, seeing these attacks on minorities in Bangladesh, how do you see India-Bangladesh relations developing in the immediate future?
Well, when our Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri went there, he absolutely said that the Indian government, right from the first day, we have said that we are prepared to work with the interim regime in Bangladesh. And this is the message he conveyed. He said we want Bangladesh-India relations to be positive, be constructive, and mutually beneficial. So fully prepared to continue the dialogue, to continue the trade. But I think he very clearly drew the red lines. And he also described his discussions, his talks with the Bangladesh leaders as frank, candid, and constructive. So he's very frank and candid. He said exactly what it was. And you have seen how in India, there is a huge uproar of feeling against the attacks on minorities in Bangladesh. In West Bengal, there's very, very strong feeling. All over India, there's strong feeling. There are demonstrations, there are rallies, there are articles in the media. And all this is because of the actual feedback that everybody is getting. People have friends, people have relatives. So many Bangladesh people come to India for shopping, they come for medical treatment. So there's a huge amount of people-to-people contact. So certainly there is a lot of information. But we have said that these attacks must stop immediately. These cannot continue, and the perpetrators must be brought to book. The minority communities have made an 8-point demand to the interim regime. And this 8-point demand includes a law for the protection of minorities, Ministry for the Protection of Minorities, that those who have done these attacks should be caught and tried, and justice should be delivered. So all these, this is up to the interim
Yoon-led government, yes.
Yeah, but they have not even spoken about it. They have not mentioned it in any of the papers. The media is not allowed to mention this 8-point demand. And they've not even mentioned what is happening to the minority communities. Out of the blue today, they suddenly said that yesterday they announced that, yes, there were 88 of these attacks, and, we have arrested some people.
Yeah, so, well, it is a beginning. Yes, it is a beginning where they have acknowledged these attacks on minorities. Well, let's hope that the Mohammad Yunus-led government will try and, ease the situation and keep everyone in the country, every citizen in the country safe. Thank you very much, Veena Sikriji, for shedding light on this important subject. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Retired Indian Administrative Service Officer Sanjay Malhotra assumes charge as the new Reserve Bank of India Governor. And in sports, India's degucation action as World Chess Championship restarts after a rest day.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we will talk about the Syrian war. We'll get into the geopolitics of Middle East that is pivoted around Syria. Who lost and who won, and what this means for the people of West Asia. Beyond this, the new Cold War has just begun. It is the semiconductor war between the United States and China. It is the war of controlling the technology in the realms of artificial intelligence. It is being said that artificial intelligence could prove to be even more lethal than the nuclear bomb. So what does this mean for our future? Watch all this on Defense Dynamics every Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Retired Indian Administrative Service Officer Sanjay Malhotra today assumed charge as the 26th Governor of the Reserve Bank of India. Malhotra, a 1990 batch IAS officer from the Rajasthan cadre, succeeds Shaktikant Das, whose tenure as RBI Governor concluded on Tuesday. Malhotra's extensive career includes the service as the Secretary of Revenue in the Ministry of Finance, where he has played a key role in shaping India's tax policies, both direct and indirect. Prior to this, he was Secretary in the Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Finance, where he worked on various financial reforms and policies at both state and central government levels. Malhotra will serve a 3-year tenure as RBI Governor. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting is set to expand FM radio services to 234 new cities, aiming to boost local content and create employment opportunities. Secretary Sanjay Jaju in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting emphasized the government's focus on leveraging technology to strengthen broadcasting's role in economic growth and cultural preservation. This initiative, aligned with the Union Cabinet's August approval, will see the third phase of ascending e-auctions for 730 new private FM channels under the Phase 3 policy. The move promises high-quality media access for all, paving the way for a more connected and informed India.
Ministry, as a first step, has already constituted the frequency planning committee, and we have already identified new channels under phase 1 in 13 metro and big cities. So 13 metro and big cities are going to be lining up, and we'll hope to complete this entire process in the next few months, so that we are ready for bringing out digital radio in these 13 new towns.
The grand finale of Smart India Hackathon 2024 will be held on Wednesday. More than 1,300 students' teams across the country will participate in the finale. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with the participants. Aditya Srivastav reports from Bhopal.
The 7th edition of Smart India Hackathon will begin simultaneously at 51 nodal centers across the country on Wednesday. The software version will run non-stop for 36 hours, while the hardware version will continue from 11th to 15th December. Like previous editions, student teams will work on problem statements given by ministries or departments or industries and present their ideas in the student innovation category against any of the 17 themes related to areas of national importance. These sectors are healthcare, supply chain and logistics, smart technology, heritage and culture, sustainability, education and skill development, water, agriculture and food, emerging technologies, and disaster management.
We are working on the problem statement which is given by Ministry of Agriculture. So our project is basically for the farmers, for the welfare and well-being of farmers.
My entire team is very much excited.
We are engineering students, we are the youth of the nation, so we should know about what is going in our country and we have to make it more developed and better.
Some of the interesting problem statements include enhancing images of dark regions on the moon presented by ISRO, developing a real-time Ganga water quality monitoring system using AI, satellite data, IoT and dynamic models, presented by the Jal Shakti Ministry, and developing smart yoga mat integrated with AI, submitted by the Ministry of Ayush.
This year in the hardware edition, we have over 17 teams who will be coming here from around 8 states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, Delhi, NCR, etc. And they will be solving problems by various ministries. Our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji will be addressing the students live virtually.
It is worth noting that Smart India Hackathon is an initiative that encourages students and professionals to develop innovative solutions to real-world problems through technology and digital tools.
Youth of the nation is also interested, is also dedicated for the developed India. So the government of India is also trying to enhance their caliber. With camera person Chandramohan, Aditya Srivastav, DD India, Bhopal.
Bharat Earth Movers Limited will be providing a 50-ton trailer of 83.51 crore rupees to India's Ministry of Defence. The 50-ton heavy-duty trailer is specifically designed for the transportation of battle tanks and features 12 twin wheels for durability and stability in challenging terrains. This order highlights BEML's strength and capability in delivering advanced indigenous products to enhance India's defence infrastructure. Now, the auto industry in Germany has been in trouble for some time, and it's not just the German brands that are showing weakness in their sales numbers. During a visit to the German Ford plant, Chancellor Olaf Scholz made the case for a new round of help for the struggling sector. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now on the story. Lars, what is the Chancellor suggesting here?
Thanks for having me. Well, Chancellor Olaf Scholz seems to have understood that the current troubles in the auto industry are too much for him to handle, or for the German government for that matter. He says it needs a pan-European program to help the industry overcome their problems. And when Scholz says Europe, he obviously means the European Union as a well-established common market with common rules and regulations. It would actually be rather easy, of course, for the EU to act based on existing structures within the bloc. Too bad, however, it seems almost impossible to get the EU to ever quickly agree on any action and do anything at all, because Scholz is technically right. Whether it's a program of EU subsidies on the manufacturer's side or on the consumer's side, with the EU, say, giving financial aid to help with the purchase of an electric vehicle, or whether it's a stronger commitment to a faster expansion of the charging infrastructure. Literally anything the EU would do to help strengthen electric mobility would likely have a huge impact.
And Lars, why is the auto industry facing such difficulties in the first place?
Well, it's partially due to the fact that neither the German government nor the EU have ever made a resounding commitment to electric mobility. They've been going back and forth on it, weakening standards, pushing for more electric vehicles, then skimping on infrastructure. They have failed to make a strong argument for consumers, for drivers, to actually make the switch, to ditch their old combustion engine cars and buy a battery-powered vehicle. Just take an incentive payment that the German government actually had in place. They paid out 10 billion euros to help finance the purchase of 2.2 million electric vehicles until the end of last year, and then the program got cut. The reason, not enough money in the budget. It's too expensive. However, considering the sheer size of the German budget, this move away from an established subsidy just showed people the lack of conviction the government apparently had towards electric vehicles. Now, with sales numbers down, many companies, including Opel and Volkswagen, have asked the government to reinstate the assistance. And they might, but they've already wasted a lot of time.
Lars Holte there reporting from DW, Germany. On to sporting action now. The World Chess Championship between Indian teenage challenger D. Gukesh and China's Ding Liren will restart on Wednesday after its final rest day. On Monday, Ding hit back with a win in the 12th game right after losing the previous game to Gukesh on Sunday. In Game 11, Gukesh stunned the world champion with a breathtaking queen sacrifice, forcing him to resign on the spot. With 2 more games left in the championship, the scores are now tied at 6-all. If no player is leading in the overall score after 14 games, the fate of the World Championship will be decided by tie breaks that are played with faster time controls. Canadian athlete Summer McIntosh set a new world record time in 400-meter freestyle on the opening of the 25-meter swimming World Championships in Hungary. In her first major meet since Paris, McIntosh won the 400-meter freestyle final with a record time of 3 minutes 50.25 record by 1045 seconds. The 18-year-old McIntosh also earned the Northern Star Award as Canada's top athlete of 2024, a year after becoming the first athlete from her country to win 3 gold medals at a single Olympic game. The United States is moving to grant federal protections to the monarch butterfly, a once common species recognizable by its striking black and orange patterns that has faced a dramatic population decline in recent decades. That's it in this broadcast. But before we go, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platforms. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you want great content for free, you can download Waves today. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can catch all the latest news and updates from India and the world on our DD India mobile app. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.